So I got a couple boxes here for another unboxing video, and this is a really cool one because in this box, not to overhype it, but it literally might be the most high quality sneaker that money can buy in the entire world. At least at the scale that that several people can buy. I'm sure there's people out there that are making one-off sneakers that can rival these sneakers, but this is Crown Northampton, who's a big enough brand where you can actually somewhat afford them, and they're made at a scale where a lot of people can get their hands on them instead of like waiting 5 years for a custom-made shoe by some Italian in some tiny shop in the corner of Italy somewhere. And if you don't know who Crown Northampton is, they have a really high reputation, even with the channel, because if you remember 2 years ago, this shoe, which is not the shoe we're unboxing, the title of this video was something along the lines of like, the highest quality sneaker in the entire world, prove me wrong. And that's because this shoe is absolutely ridiculous. And we tore it apart layer by layer. You know, you've got oak bark tan, like look how thick this is. This is like boot thickness. That's like 6 millimeters thick of an insole. The whole shoe is lined with this really high quality vegetable tan leather that doesn't have any of the like paint on top of it that we see with a lot of the regular linings in regular shoes. It was made from obviously Shell Cordovan, which I believe after doing some more of these Cordovan boots, I haven't cut apart Shinki Hikaku Cordovan or really had a pair, but Horween so far is undefeated in the Cordovan world to me. And so they're using literally the best Cordovan in the world. And you'll notice right here on this, I just barely noticed this video, but right here it says XXL. So when it comes to Shell Cordovan, if you don't know it, it's literally the horse's butt cheeks. And it's not even leather, because leather is skin, and Cordovan is a subdermal layer of the skin that's a really hard membrane almost. It's almost like a tendon consistency. It's not fibrous. It's a really tight fibered structured layer within the skin of the animal. And it's right there on the rump of the horse because, as far as I understand anyway, the way the horse's anatomy is, where it's a 90-degree angle plus some every time it steps, that skin over top of the muscle is rubbing on it all day, every day, every step it takes. And so through evolution and evolutionary horse design, they developed a thicker layer around their rump to prevent that from wearing out their skin and causing excess stress. And so that is what this Cordovan is. It's underneath the regular leather and it's hidden deep inside. And so they have to literally hand shave down to the shell and up to the shell. And Horween has done it for over 100 years. And like I was saying, this is an XXL. So because it's just horse's butt cheeks, that's not like a whole 50 square foot hide you can get like a cow hide. It's only 2 to 4 square feet per horse of Shell Cordovan. And not every single hide, or not every single shell is usable, because if you've owned a horse, you know they just like to back their butts into everything. They'll back their butts into the wind. They'll back their butts if you're trying to mess with them. They use their butt as a protective angle of their body, I guess. And so a lot of times you end up with barbed wire scars. You get like animal stuff. If it's like a range horse, you get horses biting each other on the butt. You know, just the butt takes a beating on a horse. And so you don't end up with perfect shells on every single horse, and you don't end up with the same size of shell underneath the skin from horse to horse. And it comes in different thicknesses depending on the age of the horse and the health of the horse and the breed of the horse. And so there's a ton of variables. And so these XXL shells are really rare, because the next XL is, I think, as big as they get. So they're like this big, and it's like, I think 3 to 4 square feet for XXL. And on a shoe like this, where it's a big panel of leather, they try to get those big shells. And we'll go into this a little bit more as we get into these shoes, because shells sometimes just come in little strips. They're hard to get like big pieces for, and there's a lot of people trying to make shell boots and shoes, and so it's really hard to get. So it's kind of crazy. I've never seen that XXL stamp on a piece of shell before. But that was the longest tangent ever. But you know, they use other materials like oak bark tanned, the toe stiffeners and heel counters. It's got a dedicated heel counter. The sole is this Lactae Hevea sole that comes, it's a really weird sole, and I haven't really worn one long enough to have a strong opinion on it, because these, as far as I know, let me cheat on my notes down here, is it's the Hevea rubber from the Hevea tree, or the crying wood tree. So it's very similar to like it's basically a cousin to the rubber tree, and it has different properties, and the way that they make these soles, they're so soft and squishy. It's kind of crazy that the outsoles are this soft. And I'm gonna go grab my caliper, or the durometer thing. How soft is it, you're wondering? Well, let me tell you. 39 Shore A. So very, very soft. You compare that to, happen to have the Margam outsole on this common project, 60. So almost twice as hard, or twice as soft as your regular, really soft Margam outsole. And they're supposed to be really durable. And so you get this really soft, squishy, natural Havea outsole, and they just feel like clouds when you're walking on them. And like I said, I haven't worn one for an extended period of time, so I don't know how they actually wear. I'm just going off of like hearsay and subjective opinions off people that have worn them. But it is a really cool soft outsole. And then they also have like little hand sewn bits on them, and they have French binding. Like this French binding isn't done by like, I don't believe it's done by hand, but it's not done by a machine that sews a French binding on a long strip. You know, it's not like an attachment. They literally do this with a single sewing machine, roll the edge and sew it. I think we'll fact check it and double check. And so when that video came out, I was like, prove me wrong. This is the best leather sneaker in the whole world. And I didn't see one good argument to the contrary. And so in my opinion, this is still the highest quality sneaker you can buy with money at like a decent scale, or have enough options available to you. You have this like $900 version, but you also have an affordable in quotations, an affordable version that's under like 600 bucks, which I say affordable because that's comparing it to the common projects. And the common projects are like 600 bucks if they even sell them. And if you remember, we had a whole white sneaker series where I cut this in half, and I just reacted as I cut it. And I was like, I don't know guys, 600 bucks for like fiberboard and like compressed cardboard, and that's pretty much it, and like just average chrome tanned leather. And it was like trending on Reddit, and people were really upset, and people were very, very upset that I was calling their favorite sneaker twice the price it should be. And so that's what spurred on the white sneaker series, because like maybe I'm wrong. Like as a reviewer, you have to be open to being reviewed and having your opinions challenged, and that's half the fun. Like, because we're all just trying to figure this out as we go along. There's no concrete truth when you're kind of on the cutting edge, for lack of a better term, of like discovering what's inside of some of the most iconic shoes. And so that's why we did the white sneaker series, and we ended up choosing the Crown Northampton as the winner because it just balanced everything well. It's like perfectly built. It's the slimmest, or it's the most highly finished of the bunch. Has some of the highest quality materials, and you can see they've upgraded some of these materials even in this up to this one since then. You know, this has fiberboard and a few other materials, and I felt like we pretty concretely proved that you can get a significantly higher quality sneaker for a little bit less money in the Crown Northamptons. And so when I was chatting with Crown, and they're like, hey, we're working on something special. Like, wait till you see this. And I was like, ooh, all right. This is them trying to top this sneaker. And it's a steep feat to challenge. Who is Crown Northampton? Well, they're based in Northampton, England. I think that's their name, right? So I didn't fact check that, so we'll fact check that again to make sure that's correct. But it's a 5-generation owned family business. And the thing that I really like about Crown is I work with a lot of CEOs, and most of the CEOs are really cool. You know, like the guys in the Pacific Northwest, I get along with all those CEOs. They're so nice to me, and they're very like genuine and nice people. But on occasion you get a CEO that you're just like, oh yeah, you're a CEO. Like you're just all about the bottom line. You're all about the numbers. You don't necessarily care about the fine details of what you're putting out. And Crown Northampton is the antithesis of that. The CEO or the owner of Crown is obsessed with quality. Like when me and him chat, it's just like we just get off on these tangents forever. And we're talking about like potential this and this and like, whoa. And like he's got that like, that manicky like entrepreneurship energy where just like you have a million ideas and you can't fit them in, and he's completely obsessed with not just taking things to the highest quality, but literally being the highest quality of something in the entire world. And you have to respect it because, you know, Crown Northampton, it's a big company, but it's not like it's Nike. It's not like these huge corporations. It's still a family-owned business, and the owner is like on this hot pursuit of just trying to make the best things humanly possible. And he doesn't even have to. You know, it's like, I guess technically you'd say like, oh, this is like, maybe it's for marketing, or they're just doing this to get eyeballs on it. But like, you can still buy this. And so, yeah, I don't know, I really like when people take things as far as they can. You can't help but respect it and appreciate it. And that's what Crown Northampton does almost better than anybody else, especially in the sneaker world. So what are these sneakers that we're gonna open up here? Well, I've got two boxes. I've got this box, which is their Buffalo, their Everton Buffalo at $460. And then underneath here, we have their Everton in Bourbon Shell Cordovan. That is $896. So let's start with the Buffalo first, because can't spoil the best one right off the bat. You gotta kind of stagger it out. Let's see what's inside this Crown box. Oh, nice that I wasn't even in the right spot for the second angle. So let's open this up and let's see what's in the packaging. So what is in this little guy? Let's open this up and see. I love these little like old school Mel opening tabs. We have some nice flat wax laces, nice little vegetable tan Crown Northampton. That a nice outfit pick, some inspiration. So let's do the full unveiling of the bison. I think these are bison ones. I didn't actually look at them. So here we go. Whoo! These are so pretty. So this is bison leather, and this is similar to the bison leather we saw in the JK boots, but it's a lot more refined. You can see the pebbling in here is not nearly as deep. So here's the JK OT. Shows it as my favorite Pacific Northwest boot. Go watch that video if you haven't. And I'll put links to all these other videos below. But you can see the difference in texture. So really deep pebbles on the work boot buffalo leather. If someone asks any like professional leather worker, what's the best chrome tan in the world? 99% of people, the first thing that comes to mind is Horween leather, because they're just world class. They've been, it's another like 4 or 5 generation family owned business. I've met Skip Horween. I know Nick Horween a little bit. And so just the character of the guys at Horween, it's hard to dislike them, but the leather speaks for itself. Anyway, and the other thing I wanted to read was the actual description of here. So whole cut one piece upper with French binding. So this is the crazy thing about these shoes is if you notice on the Harlestone, which is this that we cut apart, the world's best leather sneaker, prove me wrong deal, it's several panels. You've got a toe panel here that connects to the tongue. You've got a quarter panel here, and then it seams up the side, and you got another quarter panel. So it's 3 pieces of cordovan. With this hole cut, you have one single piece of leather wrapping from this side, around the toe, around the other side, but it connects all the way back here. So this is a single piece of leather that wraps all the way around. So Crown Northampton sent us an entire hide of this leather so we could use it and show you guys in the video. But I was like, hey, what if we just made a bunch of cloud wallets out of this and gave them away to the following or the watchers? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. All you gotta do is sign up for the limited edition email list. That's where we drop all like the really fun collabs we do, the limited edition products we make. And that'll enter you to win one of the cloud wallets. I'm not even sure how many we're gonna be able to make. And what we'll do is announce the winners in the cut in half video on Thursday. So be sure to check that out. And so it's just crazy. It's a crazy shoe. And if anyone doesn't think it's crazy, you just haven't seen how this thing is made. It's an impressive feat to make this in this leather, let alone this leather. Unboxing part 2. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Woo! Oh, these are wild. And also, honestly, the first thing that caught my eye, I love Shell Cordovan and stuff, but like the way that this outsole is like amber from Jurassic Park, that, you know, like pull the dinosaur DNA from it. That has a really cool effect on the sole. But now you can see what I mean with the Shell Cordovan. So remember I was talking about this XXL piece that we saw on the Harleston? That piece was used for this small of a piece of leather. Now double that and connect it at the toe, and you've got a huge piece of leather that on this shoe, the size of this shell to be this flawless and to cover this much area, it's a rare shell to be able to make this shoe. Like there's not that many shells out there that you can make this shoe from because it's so rare to get that big of a piece of a shell. And it's just beautiful. Like this is the whiskey, did I say whiskey? Or no, it's bourbon. Bourbon Cordovan. And It's just crazy. Look at it. It's like the depth of color is insane, you know, because like most of the Cordovan I have is this color number 8 Cordovan. And it's pretty dark and deep, but this lighter stuff is just gorgeous. And there's some really interesting details that I didn't notice until just barely, but you can see they call it like the hand stitch collection because there's a couple bits that are hand stitched literally by needle and thread and a hand. Then the rest is like sewing machine, hand sewn. Like, the terms are all over the place. People say the sewing machine's hand sewn. I consider like hand sewn like a needle and thread, but the hand sewn bits, you got this little tab at the back here, but you actually have some functional hand sewn areas down here, right here at the tongue. So this is not like a gusseted tongue. It's attached right here at the base like most tongues. But to prevent it from slipping side to side, instead of putting a little slit in it that you can run the laces through, what they've done is sewn little hand sewn tacks into the tongue to keep it in place. So you still get that, you still get the adjustability because it's still gonna fold over itself and it's gonna tighten, but it's tacked in place by those little stitches. So it's just one of the wackiest shoes that I've ever seen in person. And because, you know, now that you understand the Shell Cordovan thing and how rare it is and how hard it is to get the bigger pieces, to be able to make a shoe out of that is wild. And especially at the upper echelons of every single material. Because we'll really see when we cut this in half, or one of these in half, on Thursday for the full main channel video. We'll see what they've changed, what the internal components are, what materials they've used and upgraded since the previous versions. But as far as I understand, it's still the highest quality materials that money can buy, put into a single shoe, where there's corners that you could cut that nobody would ever see unless you literally cut them in half. And there's only, like, we're the only ones that are gonna cut a $1,000 sneaker in half. But this is just a way for them to flex and to really show you what's possible in a single shoe. And so we'll really hold the full judgment till we cut it in half, because you just never know. And we're also gonna do, I think we're gonna do a piece by piece dissection on Rose Anvil builds, or maybe it'll be on this channel, I'm not sure which channel it'll be on, where we're gonna do it the old, like we did with this Harleston video, where we kind of talk through cutting this piece by piece, dissecting layer by layer. So video number 1 is this video. Video number 2 is the cut in half on the main Rose Anvil channel. Video number 3 is gonna be us stitch by stitch dissecting this, show you every single panel and really be able to flay this out to show you how big of a piece of leather this whole cut piece is. And then video 4, I'll wear them for 6 months and give you the 6-month review so you can actually see how these rolls and how it rolls and folds, and basically how it's lasted. Because just because it's made out of the best materials in the world, just because it's Cordovan, just because it's got that high price tag, doesn't mean that it's gonna last. And we've seen it before. You know, we've seen a few shoes where it's like, oh, this is the best of the best. And then you start wearing them and there's just some things that are fundamentally wrong and they just don't work over an extended period of time. So we'll put it to the test, and that'll probably be out in a few months. I don't know if it's a 6-month review or a 2 or 3 month review. It depends on how much I actually wear it. And as you know, I do not really hyper fixate on making sure nothing gets scratched. So I really do put them to the test. So that's gonna be the really fun part of this. Oh, we didn't do you guys almost let me forget. Gotta try these on. I'm definitely have yet to figure out how to do these try-ons. So just so you guys are aware what I'm risking right now, I'm gonna be balancing on this with my left foot and right foot here. Sometimes I get nervous to put these on because I'm like, what if they don't fit? What if I like can't wear them? Moment of truth. Ooh, I think it's right. I think we got a good fit. So while I'm tying this up, we'll put plenty of B-roll of me walking around in these and not kid socks and the pasty whites, my legs. Yeah, and the thing with like hole cuts is you don't feel the seams anywhere because there's no seams. Makes sense, right? Wow, these are wild. I'm trying, like, honestly, I keep catching myself trying to temper my excitement. I don't know why, maybe because they're sponsoring the video, but these really are insane. If you're like, why does this guy care so much about this? It's horse butt cheeks, okay? They're cool. That's it. So thanks for watching, and if you're not subscribed, consider doing it. Check out Rose Anvil Builds, where we're just making the wackiest stuff, trying to improve our cobbling skills and show you guys some ends of cobbling that you haven't seen before, and making some really cool stuff. Main Rose Anvil channel, if you haven't already, you probably have if you're watching this. And thank you guys for everything you do. And don't forget to sign up for the limited edition email list so that we can enter you to win one of the Claude wallets. We'll also send you emails. That's kind of how these giveaways work. And yeah, thank you guys so much for everything you do. Like doing these Rosambo 2 videos is so fun. I love doing it because it's the fun aspect of what we do. And now I get a reason to spend the time to do it. And I get a reason to convince these brands to send me the wildest, coolest stuff. And so I really appreciate your guys' support, and I hope you enjoy these videos because they're fun to do. So if you like it, support it, and yeah, I guess that's everything. So thank you. See ya.